Hi there. My name's Jordan, and I'm the Education and Communications Coordinator for the Gowanus Canal Conservancy. If you haven't heard of us, that's totally okay, but the Gowanus Canal Conservancy serves as the environmental steward for the Gowanus Canal, the Gowanus neighborhood, and surrounding watershed area. We offer a variety of educational and volunteer-related programming, and we also create and advocate for green space and green infrastructure in the area. But today we're not really here to talk about that. We are here to teach you about the Gowanus Blue Schools Design Challenge, which you will all be taking part in virtually. But of course, before we can dive into the program and all of the things you'll get to work on, it's important that we first start by talking about the main issue and the main problem here. So let's first dive into that. Now, combined sewer overflow, or CSO, is the main issue that I'll be talking about in this video. And most people have never even heard of it, which is crazy, but it's why we need to talk about it today. So most of New York City utilizes what's called a combined sewer system. That means all of the material that we put down our drains every single day meets in the same pipe as all of the material that floods down the street and into our sewer grates. It's a lot of material that goes into one pipe. And typically on a day without rain, this is totally fine. All of the material is able to flow through the sewer system into our wastewater treatment facility and then back out into our waterways, completely clean and treated. However, when we receive too much rainfall, this completely overwhelms our sewer system, and that means all of this material is not able to make it to the wastewater treatment facility. And instead, it just overflows into our waterways. It's a big problem. And it's like this because our infrastructure is incredibly old, and it wasn't built to consider all of the things that go on today. So it's not considering our current population density or our climate change related storms. All of these things play a huge role in the amount of waste and material that ends up into our sewer system. In fact, the Gowanus Canal receives 363 million gallons of CSO every single year. And that's a lot considering our canal is only 1.8 miles long. It's a lot of material. It's not good. But of course, CSO is not just an issue for the Gowanus Canal. Pretty much every single waterway in New York City is affected by CSO in some way. And in general, it takes less than 1 inch of rainfall to trigger a CSO event. That means raw sewage coming through our waterways, and there's not really much we can do about it. And when we talk about New York City as a whole, we know that 27 billion gallons of CSO enter our city's waterways every single year. Okay, so in case you've never seen the Gowanus Canal, this is what it looks like. And while you may not realize it, it's actually considered one of the most polluted water bodies in the entire country. Pretty gross. But something you might also notice in this image here is that there's not a ton of green space. I mean, we see a little bit here and there, but what we're mostly looking at is buildings and infrastructure and metal and concrete, all things that are not very absorbent. And so that's what I'd like for you to think about in this video. Why is green space important, and what can it do for us? What does it have to do with CSO? Why do we care? Think about this image as we go through the rest of this video and part 2. So finally, why does it matter to you? And why does it matter for your school? This map shows every single public school in New York City. And in fact, 30% of public schools account for New York City's building footprint. That's a lot of space. And if you think about your school, you'll probably realize that there's not a ton of green space there, right? Not too many trees, plants, flowers, things like that. What you'll run into is lots of buildings, lots of concrete, parking lots, things like that. And what we know about those materials is they're not very absorbent. And it's important to think about that space at your school. What can we possibly do to improve it? And what can we do with green space in a way that will help reduce CSO, or combined sewer overflow? It's a lot to think about. But now that we've spent some time talking about the problem, we can now talk about the solutions and what steps you can take to make a change. So you'll learn a lot more about that with my colleague Christine in part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing what you do next. Bye!